Our Amazing Brain by Barbara. Hello, teachers and learners. We all want to be better teachers or planners and better learners or workers. In the next few minutes, I will talk about learner-centered teaching. I will begin with the research in neuroscience about the brain and learning. Then I will talk about cognitive psychology, the mind and attitudes, which greatly affect learning. Since education covers so many areas, I have chosen to talk about two important subjects, patterns and exercise. Thus, we will look very briefly at the brain, the mind, and education. Introduction. Learner-centered teaching has a firm basis in research, which gives teachers and learners the reasons for good practices. Education has relied heavily on behavioral psychology. The carrot and the stick. Doyle, 2011, shows how a shift in research is occurring to neuroscience and cognitive psychology. Brain scans that light up and show growth. This shift has resulted in an explosion of information about learning. At the same time, learner-centered teaching has found resounding justification for its practices in education. The pendulum has swung from the expertise of the teacher to the expertise of the learner. The computer has made knowledge freely available to all and has replaced the teacher as the sole dispenser of information. So our thinking in education reflects this new reality. Oftentimes, learners will have acquired digital skills and information worthy of sharing in the classroom. Learning is a collective endeavor and allows expression beyond the simple acquisition of knowledge. Open communication is the basis for learning and the philosophy of education and life. Researchers say, neuroscience looks at the brain for explanations of how students learn. Clearly, learning results from doing work. Bibb, 2010, of the University of Texas, cited by Dole, 2011, reported on the advances made in neuroscience about the production of neurons and synapses. Increases in cognitive efficiency and flexibility go along with increases in the number of synapses, Mohs, 2010. In other words, we get smarter by adding new brain connections, Zadina, 2010, from our experiences. Learning a new language or a new subject expands our brain's networks by paying attention, Begley, 2011. Less attention is given to subjects already mastered. Our mind works best when we are daydreaming and our minds are blanked out, Smallwood and Schooler, 2006. On the other hand, multitasking or switching tasks quickly can create mental fatigue, Berman and Kaplan, 2010, and affect our ability to pay attention, Ford, Knowlton, and Poldrack, 2006. These demands on our brain can make us irritable and upset as well, Berman and Kaplan, 2010. Tests show that we work better after exercise, meditation, and some computer games. Aerobic exercise increases awareness through our senses, Medina, 2008. Meditation increases brain processing, Jha, 2011, and lowers stress, Neidig et al., 2009. And computer gaming increases our skill to switch tasks, Stern, 2009. A working brain. At school, students can get the impression that smart people don't work. Laziness covers the inability to do work. Good teachers are facilitators and instructional designers who provide the jobs or assignments for the workers or the learners and provide feedback in learner-centered teaching. Doyle, 2011, gives several strategies to get students to work and to learn according to Bjork's meaning for learning. Learning happens when the student can use the information a long while after a time of not using the information, Bjork, 1994. Research shows that long-term memory improves through cumulative testing, Call, 2000, McDaniel and Fisher, 1991, Pashler, Sapita, Wickstead, Rohr, 2005. By forcing students to relearn the material for a cumulative test and to repeatedly go over the same 2 or 3 ideas, the teacher enhances student learning to recall information. Roediger and Karpik, 2006. One way for reviewing is to have the students themselves create a wiki site where they post the material for the course. Another way is for students to rewrite their papers with all corrections included. Also, a chance to take the test again to improve their final grades can improve learning. Chan, McDermott, Rodiger, 2007. Still, practice quizzes can clearly define the material to be remembered. Then, too, mapping the concepts in some kind of order requires students to do the work. Medina, 2008. Perhaps a teacher uses scaffolding to provide students with information that is later removed as the students see progress. Smagorinsky, 2007. There are various instructional models, among some of which include letting learners start working on their own. The teachers may be sitting in the classroom, yet before class they were busy planning and giving feedback. These are the two functions of a facilitator: planning and giving feedback. A picture of learning. These neurons multiply when we learn, yet some people act as though intelligence is fixed and cannot change. Some people have set ideas of intelligence in general and their own intelligence. They need to look smart, so they pick only easy jobs. Richard cited in Dole, 2011, page 66. They avoid challenges and even are absent when the job looks harder. They believe that work doesn't pay and is not worth the effort. They think that success is a matter of luck and play down the importance of success. So to change this fixed mindset into a growth mindset, Dweck, 2006, the teacher needs to recognize that the student has a fixed mindset. It's not just a matter of laziness or immaturity. Atkins, 2007. The student needs to know for a fact that your brain can grow. With new connections between neurons in the brain, the learner can be smarter. He or she does not have to be dumb. The teacher can focus on the student's effort and search for better strategies rather than praise their intelligence alone. Dweck, 2009. In the case of failure, the teacher needs to share ways of doing a better job of studying so as to instill a growth mindset. Whatever skills and abilities the person has, he or she needs to be open to taking risks and trying a first step. What students do now is about what they know now, not the persons they are or were. Students with a growth mindset tell themselves that they can learn to do the job with time and effort. They tell themselves that success comes from failure at first. By choosing a growth mindset one time, students can choose it over and over again. Dweck, 2009. Thus students come to feel safe in the classroom and to be risk takers. Rogers and Renaud, 1999. Teachers can plan for the students to do valuable work and give them recognition for their successes and efforts. It is important to have a sense of community and togetherness in the classroom. The teacher tries to be a better teacher through continued learning about planning learning activities and ways to give feedback. Neurons at work. The brain seeks patterns and learns from identifying patterns. This neuron is learning and remembering. Looking for patterns in course material is an important skill for lifelong learners. For young English language learners, ELLs, sentence patterns are the basic unit of meaning in English. A word depends upon its context in a sentence for meaning, so in a unit of 5 words in a sentence pattern, there are chants, dialogues, and songs that repeat the sentence pattern with the 5 words until the pattern becomes familiar in about 5 lessons or 3 weeks. Pictures and animations help, of course. Learning depends upon patterns and matching words to sentences. Ratty, 2001, describes the brain as a device that actually pursues patterns. My Western civilization professor taught us 2 ideas among others. First, humankind's intelligence and religiosity is revealed in the alignment of stones to represent meaning. And second, geography determines history. She must have repeated these ideas in each class and connected them to the current lesson. These ideas have remained embedded in my long-term memory for a lifetime. This is an example of using patterns, repetition, and elaboration to make brain connections in long-term memory. Games such as chess are mastered through studying tens of thousands of configurations. Each subject matter has its own meaningful patterns to help the learner to become an accomplished expert in that area. The learner-centered teacher helps students to learn that all knowledge has patterns and assigns them the job of looking for patterns. Kane and Kane, 1991. Patterns can help recall and make students smarter. Kane and McClintock and Klimek, 2009. Brain plasticity. Brain networks build circuits of knowledge and memory that constantly reorganize themselves with use. Brain plasticity. A new experience causes the brain to slightly rewire itself. Neuron connections change all the time, and synapses get stronger when cells send repeated signals. These brain networks have flexibility unless there is stress. In order to improve memory, the environment must feel safe and have reduced stress. The neurotransmitter that enhances learning and memory is acetylcholine and is being researched. Teachers need to teach for long-term recall and follow a few suggestions for student work. Have students study or review every 3 to 4 days. Retest the most important elements several times. Students can reflect and elaborate to increase the number of connections in their memory paths. Using their own words and writing summaries produces long-term recall. Images help us do focusing, organizing the information, teaching another person, and changing your study routine to maintain the element of novelty. The teacher needs to draw special attention to the material in the middle of the class to maintain focus of the class. Exercise. Exercise is important for learning because the brain releases neurochemicals that fertilize neuron growth. Due to advanced technologies, neuroscience has been able to discover the facts and to eliminate misgivings about learning. This information about exercise in the brain is causing a revolution in our scientific investigations. More people are considering the possibilities of letting students move around in class, sit on exercise balls for seats, ride mini bicycles under computer tables, take more breaks, move and breathe to get oxygen to our brains. Conclusion. Very readily, we see that this subject of brain, mind, and education is best left to a master's program for discussion. Universities across the country are either inaugurating or considering the possibility of beginning such a program. This short talk has only briefly mentioned some of the matters that have motivated interest in learner-centered teaching. Without a doubt, we will all follow the research to learn more and to apply what we learn as teachers and as learners. Neuroscience research has implications for all nationalities and for all ages without boundaries. The images of the brains and the neurons in this clip could belong to anyone. We are all lifelong learners. Learner-centered teaching requires planning and giving feedback to channel learning and jobs in new directions. Thank you.